Hi friends, I'm Nancy from Stampinshout.com. Welcome to my YouTube live video tutorial. This is actually my first live YouTube video that I'm doing. I do several other videos on YouTube and Facebook, so since this is the first time, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to be here with you today. It is May 16th, 2020. And whether you're watching live or via replay, go ahead and type in hi, type in your questions and comments, and I will be sure to go back and read them. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Creative coach. I make many cards and paper crafted items, and I use Stampin' Up! Products. And I share all of these with you on YouTube and Facebook and Pinterest and on my blog, www.Stampinshout.com. I also have a bi-weekly newsletter that I send out with exclusive information to my subscribers with whatever's going on in the stamping world, lots of tips, inspiration, and a free PDF on a exclusive card. So you can check all that information out on my blog. Today I thought I would do some simple stamping. I mean, you can really get detailed when you stamp a card, and you can also keep it very simple. And both are beautiful, both are welcomed by whoever receives them because they are homemade. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you what we're going to work on today. So I am using Stampin' Up's stamp set called Inspiring Iris. And this is a polymer stamp set, which means the stamps are clear, which you're going to see in a second. They're clear, and you place them on a block. So you just stick them right on a stamping block, and it's nice to stamp with them because you can see through them. So I'm going to show you all that in a minute. So basically, simple stamping is you need ink, paper, and a stamp set. So we are using Inspiring Iris. And I thought we would make 3 simple cards. We're going to make a note card and 2 other cards, and we'll talk about it obviously as we go step by step. And I thought we would start off with the note card because that is very basic, very simple. Excuse me. Stampin' Up! Sells note cards in a pack, and this is a pack of 20. This happens to be very vanilla. You can see the difference in the color, and this is Whisper White. The very vanilla is being discontinued, but the Whisper White is going to be available. So what you get are 20 note cards and 20 envelopes, and they're very sturdy note cards. So they're great for thank you cards or announcements or just a thinking of you. They mail just like regular mail. They're big enough to go in the mail. So really nice product. So we're going to do something very simple. We're just going to use the note card and black ink. So the note cards are pre-scored, so I just folded it and gave it an extra crease with a bone folder. And I'm bringing in my black ink, and let me see, I've got all my stamps out here. Let me show you the inside of the stamp set again, so in case you're not familiar. So it opens up like this, just like a DVD case, and it's got all the stamps inside. And again, these are clear, and I have a lot of them already put on my blocks, and that's how you store them. They're very simple to store, don't take up a lot of space. So what I'm going to do is I have my stamp on my block. I'm going to ink it up. This is called Black Memento ink. I'm just inking that stamp up, and I'm going to place it on my card. I'm going to hold it there for a second, and there you go. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in the sentiment, thanks. So I put that on a little stamping block. I'm going to ink that up, and there you go. So then you can write whatever you'd like inside. Beautiful little thank you card. And let's just take this envelope and we'll stamp on that too. That's always nice for the recipient to see. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper here so I don't stamp on my board. So again, I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to take the flap of the envelope, and I'm just going to stamp a flower. Isn't that pretty? Very, very, very simple. And that's the first project. So let's continue with my next card. So again, I am keeping it simple. I'm not using a lot of colors. I'm basically using white cardstock and a little bit of black cardstock for my matte piece. I like to always matte my cards. And then here I stamped with one of the stamps that's in the set, and we're going to fussy cut out this flower, and I'll show you how to do that. Very simple. So let me bring in my supplies. So I have a card base, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it right in the middle at 4 1/4. So that's my card base. I have a matte piece in black, and then I have a stamping piece. I have a scrap piece and a couple other scraps, which we'll get to. So first thing I'm going to do is stamp on this scrap, and I'm going to stamp again in the Memento ink. I'm bringing in a different stamp. This is the big flower with leaves. So I'm going to stamp that on my scrap one time, and I'm going to stamp it one more time because I want an extra set of the leaves. Okay, so this stamp set is called a two-step stamp set because it has the outline and then it has the filler. And again, you can see right through these, so it makes it easy to line up. So I'm going to bring in a different color ink. This is called Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to kind of look at how this is so I can figure out how to line up the flower the best way that it does match. And I can tell that it goes just like that. So I'm going to ink this up in the Gorgeous Grape. Let me see. And then I'm just going to set it on top of that and stamp it. And as you can see, it filled it in. It's supposed to have a watercolor effect, so it's not going to be perfect. And believe me, when you put your card together, you don't need to have it exact. You don't need it to be perfect. Your card just seems to come together perfectly. So I'm just stamping this again so you can see how I did it. Then I'm going to take this little teeny tiny stamp, which is going to stamp in I'm going to stamp that in the center. So I'm bringing in some yellow. It's called Daffodil Delight. And I'm just going to stamp that right in the center of that flower. I like the way this one turned out better, so I'm going to use this one. You'll see what I mean in a second. So now I'm going to stamp the leaves, and I'm going to bring in Granny Apple Green ink. And again, I'm going to find the stamp set that fills in the leaves. It's a solid stamp set, and you have to look at how it lines up. So there's 3 leaves here and the bunch of leaves here, and that's exactly how the stamp set is. So I'm going to ink this up in the Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to position it over those leaves. I'm a little off center because I've got the camera above and I don't want to get right over it. So when you are doing this, you'll have your head right over that stamp, and you can see exactly how to line it up. But I did pretty good there, don't you think? Okay, so now I'm going to bring in one other scrap piece I have, and this is to create this look right here. Now I could stamp right on this card right here. This is going to be our card front, but in case I make a mistake, I decided I would stamp on a strip like this, and let me show you what I mean. I'm going to place this on here so when I'm stamping, I don't get it on my board, but you'll see how I'm stamping it. So I'm going to put these other stamp pads away, and I'm going to bring in this stamp which makes this design right here, and I'm going to stamp it in the black ink. My hands are inky. So I'm inking this up, the stamp up, and I'm just going to, again, I'm off center. I'm just going to stamp across. Whoop, that was a little crooked. Let me do that over. So that's another thing. You can always turn your paper over to stamp it. And the reason it was crooked is because I am off center. Hang on. Let me see here if I have a darker scrap. Okay, this will be better for you guys to see, and it'll be easier for me to stamp. So again, that's inked up in the black. And I'm just going to stamp again down here. And I'm going to do that all over this little scrap piece here. So with it being clear, it's pretty easy to do. Okay, so next thing is I would bring in my card base, and I'm going to place this here, and then this piece here that we stamped, we're going to cut that out. That's called fussy cutting. So I'm going to cut this flower out right along the edge, and whenever you fussy cut, you don't want to cut right on the edge. You want to leave a little teeny tiny border, and I am going to cut this flower out. I'm going to not worry about the leaves right now. So I am leaving just a little bit of a white border, and it just looks better when you place it on the white card. Okay, so there's our flower. I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves. So if you are watching, you can go ahead and type in your questions or comments. Like I said, this is my first YouTube Live. Normally I can see the comments, but I can't on this software that I'm using, so might have to change things up in the future, but for right now this is okay. Then I'm going to cut these leaves out. I'm not going to use that second flower. So I'm kind of just turning the paper. Some people like to fussy cut, some people don't. I like it. I think it's, I don't know. It's relaxing. The whole card making thing is fun and relaxing, and like I said, people really, really enjoy receiving a homemade card. Okay, so before I put my card together, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So again, I'm going to bring in that Memento ink, the black Memento ink. And I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it right here in the bottom area. And the reason I do that before I put the card together is if I make a mistake and I don't like it, I can flip it over and do it again. So you know what? I have ink on my fingers and I have a smudge here, so I am going to flip this over. and I'm going to stamp right here in the bottom area, and that's perfect. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this piece right here, and I'm going to do that with a snail adhesive. Snail is a tape runner. So you just slide it on your paper there, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so I want to show you something else that I could have done. Instead of stamping here, I could have taken a pretty piece of designer series paper, and for short they call that DSP, designer series paper, and I could have placed it right there. Okay, and you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do that, show you something different. I think I like the way that looks. So you can buy designer series paper. They have, Stampin' Up! Has white cardstock, black cardstock, all different colors of cardstock, and they have beautiful, beautiful coordinating designer series paper. So this is a strip of Granny Apple Green, which matches the green in my leaves. So it really, really looks pretty. So let me just get rid of this ink so I don't drop something in there and make a mess. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the flower and the leaves that we cut out, and I'm going to bring in dimensionals. Dimensionals are they're sticky little tiny pieces, sticky on both sides. So I stick that down, and I'm going to peel off the backing, and now it's sticky, and I'm going to place that on my card. So I want it to be right there. Then I'm going to take the leaves and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a dimension on the back of those leaves. And then I'm just going to place it kind of underneath this purple flower right there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this leaf. I'm just going to place it underneath that purple flower like that. And we are almost done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and snail the back of this white piece. And place it on the black mat. Just center it. Then I'm going to bring in my card base, and I'm going to snail the back of this black piece. And attach it to the card front. So there you go. So this was with the stamped images, and here's with the designer series paper. Very simple, right? Okay, let's make one more. So each one of these cards is just has a little bit more stamping than the previous one. So I'm trying to give you different ideas of very simple and then just stepping it up just slightly. So here was just the basic card that we stamped in black with our envelope. And then this one we just stamped in the black ink and we colored in the flower. We put a piece of designer series paper. And now we're going to make this one here. So this one has a few different colors, a little bit more layering, and it also has an embossed folder that gives this card texture. So let me show you how I did that. So I have my two cardstock pieces right here, and I also have my matte piece with this piece and my card base. So this piece here is the piece that I textured with, let me show you, an embossing folder. Okay, so you just put your paper in like this and you run it through the Big Shot or whatever embossing machine you happen to have. So Stampin' Up, this is the old Big Shot, and it's coming out with a new one, which I cannot wait. And it's a little bit more compact, so it'll be easier for me to show you when I'm doing a video. Just whoop, makes a lot of noise, but it's working. Let me show you. So this embossing folder is called Hammered Metal, and it gave it this really pretty texture. So that's very, very simple to do. So now, seems like whenever I do videos, I lose my stuff. Okay, so now I'm just gonna, well, I'll adhere it all in order. So this is gonna go on here, but we'll do that in a minute. There's our card base. And now let's do some stamping. Let me bring in this scrap here so you can see better. So if you recall, when we did this one, we stamped in the black outline and then we colored it in. Well, this one I'm not going to do the black outline with. It's going to give it more of a watercolor feature, and I love the way that it looks. So let me find, I'm going to bring in my leaf stamp, and I'm going to bring back the Granny Apple Green ink. So I've got a couple of different flowers and a couple of different leaves on here. Here we go. So I'm going to start by stamping in the center, just so it gives me some little kind of a scale to go by. So I'm going to stamp in the center right there. Then I'm going to stamp another leaf next to it. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit so it's not the same height. Then I'm going to bring in my other leaf stamp, and I'm going to stamp over here. I'm going to stamp one down here at the in between, very low. And then I'm going to stamp one more over here. Just deciding. Okay. However you stamp it is fine. Your flowers are going to land right on top. So now I'm going to bring in the iris flower petal, and I'm going to stamp that in Gorgeous Grape. So again, you just have to kind of look at the stamp and how it's going to sit on the leaves. There's a certain way that it goes. A clear stamp, so it's really easy to see through. And I'm just going to kind of line it up and stamp it. Now this one I have to bring it lower, like that. Oh, it's gorgeous. And then I've got one more iris that I'm going to do on this end. Very, very pretty. I love it. Now I'm going to bring in the, I guess it's a carnation, and I'm going to stamp that in this pretty pink color, which is called Rococo Rose. Make sure I get the right stamp. That's just the flower top. Again, I'm just going to line it up, stamp it, stamp it. Then I'm going to bring in my sentiment, which says, "Wishing you the best." And I'm going to stamp that in the black. So again, you can see right through there, so you know you're stamping the right way. And I'm going to stamp it right in this little section here. So now we're going to put our card together. And before I do that, I want to show you something here. This is how I clean my stamps. It's called a Stampin' Scrub. So I would bring in all these stamps. Here's the flower stamp that I just used. And this is wet. I just put some water on there. It's kind of like a sponge. And I just put it into an empty case that I had. And that is how I clean off my stamps. Very simple. Nice and compact, easy to store. So I just clean them all off. If I were using this right away, I would bring in a scrap, or I would bring in a paper towel. So I'd clean it off and I would stamp it to see it's clean. But I would get some of that wetness off if I was going to use it right away. But if I'm not, I can go ahead and clean these and just let them sit there for a minute, and then later on just put them back into my stamp case. Well, that's it. I just wanted to make sure you saw that, because how simple is that, right? Okay, let's put together our card. So let me bring in my snail. Make sure my card is opening the way I want it to open, so I don't adhere everything upside down. That would not be fun. So I'm going to put my matte piece down first. Center it. And then we'll bring that embossed piece in. So if you keep watching my videos, you'll learn a lot of little stamping tips and tricks. Sometimes instead of snail, I use Tombow glue. So you'll just pick up little tips here and there. So I do encourage you to come on back. If you subscribe to my channel, just click the subscribe button. You'll be notified whenever I'm doing a new video. So this one, I'm just going to center top to bottom. Okay, then I'm going to bring back in my dimensions, and I'm going to pop this piece up. And it's just a little thing to do, but it just really makes a nice statement on your card. And I'm going to put one in the middle. So you just peel the backs off. And I'm going to center this right here. And then I have, one more little thing that I'm going to do on here, and I'm going to bring in some rhinestones. And I'm just going to put a couple here and there. They're sticky on the back. So I'm taking my little, my little scissors, and I'm going to pick this baby up. So it's on my scissors, and I'm just going to lay it down. So I like to usually do odd number. I don't know why, it just seems to look better that way. I'm not sure, but that's just what I've been doing. This one's stuck to my thumb. There you go. So there, let's see, let's bring in our projects here so you can see them. This one we have the little envelope with, and then our pretty cutout flower with that designer series paper, and then our watercolor garden. So anyway, I'm trying to get back to my other view. Let's see here. There we go. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video and you liked the projects. If you did, like I said, click subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And if you click subscribe, you'll get notified whenever I'm doing a new video. I also post all the supplies that I used in today's video on my blog, www.stampinshout.com. So if you flip over to my blog, you're going to see a picture of this card that we made today, of all these cards, and you'll see a list of supplies. That list, that's clickable links in case you want to purchase any of these supplies. You just click on the little item, whatever it is, and it'll take you right to my online store. If you would like to make these cards, these exact cards, I will send you out the supplies to make them, which means I'll send out the card bases. They're all pre-cut, the matte pieces, the little scraps that you may need. I'll emboss the one folder. Whatever it is, I have it all ready for you to go as a kit. And I do that in exchange for a $35 purchase at my online store. So you would get, it's called a make and take. You would get the make and takes for these 3 cards. You'd get a PDF, which are the step-by-step instructions. And of course, you can always come back and rewatch this video. So you get to see exactly how to make it again. So I do that in exchange for a $35 purchase. But for these kits, I do that within 48 hours. So that offer is good for 48 hours. And then I'll probably have another video coming out with new make and takes. So if you are interested, just hop on over to my blog, www.stampinshout.com, and there'll be information there. I'm finding that my kits are selling out faster. Yeah, I think it's that everyone right now is looking for something fun and crafty to do. And I know myself that I am stamping more cards than ever, and I'm sending them to my family and friends to help encourage them and to help bring a smile to their face and let them know that I am thinking about them. So the kits are pretty popular right now. So if you are interested, go ahead and hop over to my blog. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave me comments. My contact information is on my blog. I'm always here to answer your questions. I'm usually very, very quick to answer your questions and help you out. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Contact me, and thank you for watching. And until next time, don't be shy. Stamp and shout. Thank you.